Yes, Mr. City Attorney, that was for your benefit.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Madam Mayor.
So we're going to reconvene the special meeting of the Folsom City Council. Do you have any final action to report, Mr. Wong?
No final action for tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, in which case we will adjourn the special meeting and call to order the regular meeting of the Folsom City Council for Tuesday, February 26, 2019. The clerk would call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sheldon, Aquino.
Here.
Gaylord.
Here.
Kozlowski.
Here.
And Howell.
Here. And if you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have an agenda update?
You have no agenda updates this evening.
Okay, then we will start with business from the floor. That's where the public has an opportunity to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. And so far, we have two requests to speak. And if you would come on down front, and you'll have 3 minutes. And the first speaker will be Ernie Dillard, and the second will be Joe Dowd.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
I want to thank the council for allowing me to speak. Appreciate the time in front of you and appreciate everyone's efforts. I'm here on behalf of the Sierra Marlins. I am the team president, and so as our first spokesman for the team, I wanted to be in and be the one to kind of talk to you guys about our swimming contract that's coming up for renewal. So one of the big issues for us is going to be the cost of that. And I know we've been working with Chad, we've been working with the Parks and Rec people, and I want to thank them and I appreciate their time. But we really want to make sure the council, takes a good look at the years the Marlins been a part of the program with you guys, the cost and all over general. I had a couple of handouts. I don't know if you guys had these. I already gave them to the Parks and Rec people when we had their meeting. I can hand those out. Do you want to step forward and hand those? What should I do?
You could hand them to the police officer over here.
Sure
He'll
thing.
get them up to us.
That's information you're probably going to receive from your Parks and Rec representative. It's basically, the first one really shows the cost of what the kids and the families in Folsom are paying to swim on a year-round team like the Sierra Marlins. And that's one of our main concerns. When we look at Davis, when we look at Roseville, cities that we see as very comparable to Folsom, our kids are paying about 25% more already. And with the rate increases, we're going to have to increase dues again. So that's one of the major things that we're looking at there. Historically, the second page that I have on there, our increases with the city, the Marlins have been a partner for about 20 years almost. We've had about a 5% average increase. With what's expected to come down the pipe, we're looking at over a 50% increase, and then it's continue to go up from there. So that's, for us, was a big shock. We're trying to do our best to accommodate that. We've taken 3 rate increases ourselves to kind of justify it. But again, it is a big hit for us and something we're concerned about. And on the last page there, one thing we were really concerned about as well is these kids often get up in the morning at 5 o'clock to get out at the pool and swim before school, and dedicated kids go to their classes. Same thing on Saturdays. At 5 in the morning, we really don't find too many other users out there at the pool besides our kids. So that's an area we were hoping with the 3 meets that we host a year, which helps bring money into the city, and that's kind of the information we brought based on some of the meets in Roseville around here, that those contributions for the 3 meets, we're hoping we could get a really more competitive rate that early in the morning when there's really not a lot of other users out there and the Marlins are contributing to that time. The last handout that was up there was that economic impact report. Just take a look at that. It just gives you an idea when we host those big meets, kind of what it does for the city. I know it brings in teams from all over, and it's a big benefit for the city as well. Other than that, I know one of the big issues was long course. When we swim a longer distance in the pool, which is 50 meters, a lot of our kids are older swimmers. They're looking at going to Olympic trials. We've had kids win Olympic gold medals. That was the Andersons. And we pay double when we swim that distance in the pool. And that's a little frustrating when we're meeting in the mornings at 5 o'clock, there's no one else out there, and we're paying twice as much as we would if we were swimming the other direction in the pool. So that's a big concern for us as well. Maybe we can look at a lower rate there. And the fact that we're hosting these meets and doing some other areas to contribute, maybe we can make it up in that area. That was pretty much my main points on those, unless anyone has questions for me.
Anyone have any questions? I think we're good. Thank
Thank you very
you.
much. Thank you very much for your time.
And next up is Joe Dowd.
I'm Joe Dowd. I am been swimming at the Aquatic Center every morning, mostly every morning from 5:30 to 7 a.m. Started off as a swimmer, and now I'm the coach of the Sierra Marlins Masters program. That's 18 and over swimming. I have a question for you, everyone in the room. How many people use the pool for aquatic fitness? Thanks, Ernie. I don't see you in the morning.
And you won't.
Okay.
But come May at 11:30, you see me in the aquatic.
All right, you got the noontime program going.
Yeah, that's about 4 hours before Ernie's up and about.
Yeah, well, at least we have one. So there's 3 of us in the room that use the pool. And how often do you swim?
Well, from May to September, then I bowl. I don't swim in the winter. That's for guys like you, not
Yeah,
me.
it was great this morning, by the way. Okay, so 40 of us through the years swim every month since I started swimming in 2003. That number varies between winter and summer, obviously. Summer, the numbers are much larger. Winter, we're still holding about 36 strong. That brings in about $31,000 a year. Over the years, we've seen lane space diminish. In the old days, we used to use the whole pool. Now we're down to 10 lanes, and then it went to 10, and now we're down to 6 lanes. The city seems to be making it tougher to use the pool every year, especially at that time. I understand prime time, a big deal. A lot of swimmers out there for that space. But like Ernie said, we're there at 5:30 in the morning. And only the cops show up when we let the alarm go off. Other than that, we're it. So I'm asking the city if they can ease up on the Marlins, and so we can still have a successful program, or have the city itself open the pool from 5:30 to 7, Monday through Friday, and let us keep doing our lap swim. And you can collect the $31,000 and put it in your pocket. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take that into consideration the next time the rates come to us. And with that, we will move to scheduled presentations. And this is a resolution of commendation honoring the Folsom Junior Bulldogs for earning the 2018 Excellence in Academics and Athletics Award. And I understand that Sunny Lofton is going to meet me down front. And I have the proclamation, and Ernie's going to join me. Our Ernie, not yours.
Ernie's got a good name anyway.
Hi. Welcome.
Thank you. And I promise I don't swim at all, so don't even ask.
This is a resolution of commendation honoring the Folsom Junior Bulldogs for earning the 2018 Excellence in Academics and Athletic Award. Whereas the Folsom Junior Bulldogs is an official youth football and cheer association in Folsom, and whereas the Folsom Junior Bulldogs organization is committed to both academic and athletic excellence, and whereas members of the Folsom Junior Bulldog football and cheer teams maintained a grade point average of 3.0 or better during the football and cheer season, and whereas this level of academic achievement merits recognition from the Board of Directors of the Folsom Youth Football and Cheer and the City of Folsom, now therefore I, Carrie Howell, Mayor of the City of Folsom, on behalf of the Folsom City Council and the Folsom community, do hereby extend commendations in the highest regard to the members of the Folsom Junior Bulldogs, who earned the Excellence in Academics and Athletic Award 2018, and encourage their continued scholastic excellence in the future. Passed and approved this 26th day of February 2019.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
You read the names.
Okay. So first and foremost, thank you everyone for having us. Thank you, Madam Mayor and council folks, so people out in the audience here. I'd just like to take a second. We are, the Bulldog Nation is a family, and this community is a family, and it's an awesome community. We're so fortunate to be in a community where we have good educational system, we have good infrastructure, we make decisions based on data instead of impulse, and we show our kids the right way to live. One of the folks that, you know, has done that for years for us is Tony Wood. Unfortunately, we lost him this last weekend. He passed away. He's one of our coaches. He's been in the community a long time. Very good gentleman, very good mentor and leader for these kids. He's dedicated a lot of his time for these kids. So if I could we take a moment of silence just to commemorate the fact that he's such a great person, and we're definitely going to miss him. I thank you for that, and please keep his family in your prayers. Now, moving into the lighter piece here, we definitely want to make sure that these young men and young women understand that education is key to life. And so it's very, very honorable that they take their time to go to practice, and they take their time in the classroom to do the job. So they do it on the field, whether they're a cheerleader or a football player, and they do it in the classroom as a student. We want to make sure that that is important in our society, and that's something that we're definitely going to dedicate ourselves to recognize. So we're going to start
I'm
off.
just going to add to that, and it's very important for the parents of all of those kids to understand that we all know that without your support and driving those kids around from here to there and helping them with their homework, doing whatever you have to do, thank you to all of you for raising wonderful children in this community.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. All right, so we're going to start off with our gold guys here. So the first gold recipient we're going to have is Anthony Benavides. Did Anthony make it? Okay, we'll go kind of fast here. Haley Caldwell. Hey, there we go. Jameson Farrar. Rylan Geyer. Logan Hutton. Tiffany Chosness. Caitlin Lonnie. Trey Lofton couldn't make it. He's at basketball practice. Aiden Lopez. Olivia Nola of Olivia. Owen Phillips. Danica Sandy. Rebecca Semenza.
Congratulations, great job.
Ariana Semenza. Donna Templeman. Hannah Verwayen. Nick Wagner. Zachary Woodward. Beiersdorf.
Congratulations.
Sean Carey. Marcel Davis. Carter Ethorn. Mason Fears. Sydney Frank. Ronnie Hensley III. Kelly. And Cara Linton. Those are our gold level recipients. Now for the silver recipients, we have Tariq Lofton. He's at basketball practice also. Tyler Main. Jordan McGurr. Where they at? Oh, they coming in here at the door, okay. They're coming from everywhere. Ava Nyman. Tice McIntyre. Joey Pelka. Brian Ray III. Sandy. Serena Santos. Richard Semenza. Zoe Tanner. Izzy Templeman. Jake Tremaine. Addison Vergara. Holly Wagner. Maya Wailitko. And Chase Wailitko. Those are our silver recipients. Now for our bronze recipients, Mason Brawley, E.J. Coleman, Thane Grabowski, Isaiah Langham, Mark Neidlinger, Blake Nycomb, Anna Pelka, Riley Templeman, Graham Traynellis, and Alyssa Vergara. And last but definitely not least, Katie Wagner. You didn't think I was going to say your name, did you? Great job, Katie. Thank you so much, folks. We really appreciate your support.
I want to give you a little history lesson, okay? Back in '05, you guys played a playoff game on a Saturday in this kind of weather, okay? And you know, in playoff games, you don't get a bye. You played the game. And what you did, you ruined the field so bad, that we never could recover it. But that was good, because what we did the next year, and I say we, because there's a whole bunch of people did this, we raised $700,000 in a year, and that's where the synthetic turf came. The first youth football field, not high school field, youth football field in Northern California. The Junior Bulldogs have it. So I'm glad you came out in the weather, and I just wanted to relate tonight to '05, because that's what caused us to get the new field. And this year we will redo it in the spring, so it's ready for the summertime. So
We appreciate it. And just to add to Ernie's story, those kids that played on that field that ruined the turf have all graduated from high school.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us.
You get that? You get a
Thank
whole bunch of extras. Do you want to take these for the kids that weren't?
Oh,
here?
yes, I will. Yes,
Okay.
I will. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Now we offer popcorn or drinks or something. It might stick with us.
Have a snack bar, help
snack
with
bar.
our revenues.
One over here, I'll take it.
My purse and Sarah's purse is all we get.
I'll grab you one.
There's no trash can down here. Well, the stuff that you're going to throw away, you're going to take all this home? Gold and silver, I expected there to be a bronze. Or platinum. Okay, we will now move on to the consent calendar.
I will move it with the exception of item D as in David.
Okay, anybody want to pull anything else? Do we have a second for the consent
I
calendar?
have a question about item F. Can we pull that as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I will move items A, B, C, E, item G.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
Gaylord?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
And Howell?
Yes. And Sarah, you had a question about D?
Yes, I have a question for the city manager. So there are several vacancies on the Landscape and Lighting Commission.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if we were to hold onto this application for now and postpone this item till, let's say, after April 1st, could the city do some outreach via social media, our newsletter, whatever, and just say, you know, if you live in such and such a neighborhood, we're looking for landscape and lighting commissions, and please submit an application by April 1st or whatever deadline, and that we just consider it all at the same time?
Yeah, we certainly could do that and hopefully increase our applicant pool. And that would be, yes, we can definitely do that.
And no disrespect to this applicant is intended, but my preference is just when we're building a commission like this, I like to kind of have a, you know, the stack of applications and then look and see who's on the commission now and say, okay, you know, what skill set would be good that we don't have now that we could bring? What demographic is missing that we could bring? So I just prefer that we hold on to this for now, postpone this item, and bring it all back at the same time.
Okay, that's great. If we could reschedule this for whatever the date of the first meeting in April is.
Yes, we'll do that.
Okay, great.
Do we need a motion or no?
How many positions are there open still?
I think there's kind of two, part one and part two of the Landscape and Lighting Commission. I think one had maybe 5 out of 10 filled, and the other had maybe 5 out of 12 filled. There's
Quite a
lot
list of vacancies,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
So, Sarah, was that were you making a motion?
Yes,
to
I'm
move
going to move to postpone the appointment of the at-large member to the Landscape and Lighting District Advisory Committee until the first meeting in April.
I'll actually second that. I think it's a good
this? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
Gaylord?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
And Howell?
Yes. And Mike, you had a question about F?
Yeah, I just have a question for staff about what is actually spent on this engineering report. I know it's collected by the actual lighting and landscaping districts, but I'm curious what the total
I'm going
expenditure
to ask
is.
our Parks and Rec Director, Lorraine Pagoni, to address that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Hauer, members of the commission, the council, Lorraine Pagoni. So each year, it's approximately $24,000, and we do a 2-year contract, and every 2 years we reopen it, rebid it. So.
Gotcha. I was just curious. Okay. I'll move item F.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
Gaylord?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
And Howell?
Yes. And with that, we will move to public hearing, item 8A.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Stephen Wang, City Attorney. Allow me to introduce to you Attorney Kelly Pope, Special Counsel to the City of Folsom. Kelly is a senior partner with the law firm of Downing Brand, and she's been assisting us on this project. Kelly.
Steve, could you just explain what the project is exactly? We didn't really introduce it.
Yes, madam. This is the East Bidwell Street widening the sidewalk project. The items tonight under this subject presented to you are 2 resolutions of necessity to acquire 2 parcels, as you can see delineated on the screen in red. Those 2 parcels are necessary to widen the East Bidwell Street as part of the project.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. How do you go? Use the arrow? Use this.
Okay. Good evening. Again, my name is Kelly Pope, and I'm here to discuss 2 separate resolutions of necessity, but we are doing one presentation because it's, you know, it's the same project, so it's the same factors that are being considered. So I'll do a bit of an introduction on the resolution of necessity process, and then Ryan will be speaking to you in more detail about the project itself and the some of the elements. So the properties at issue, there's 2. One is owned by Gordon and Wendy Bridges, and the second parcel is, it's an ownership group. It's not entirely clear who the owners of the parcel are, and that's okay. That's something that gets worked out as part of the eminent domain process. So the procedure on a resolution of necessity, very basically, a resolution of necessity is the last step that needs to be taken before a government entity can file an eminent domain action to acquire property. So first, the property owners receive notice of the hearing, which happened in this case. Staff provides a presentation. The city council will have an opportunity for questions and answers. The property owners have an opportunity to speak. There's a public comment period, and then ultimately the city council will vote. For a resolution of necessity to be adopted, it must be 2/3 of all city council members have to vote in favor of it. So the findings of a resolution of necessity are the public interest and necessity require the project. The proposed project, in this case the East Bidwell Street Widening Project, is planned or located in the manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. The property interests that we're seeking to acquire are necessary for the project. And the offer, so the government code requires before we can come to you that an offer has been made to the property owners based on an appraisal. And so that's the last finding that the city council needs to make to adopt the resolution of necessity. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Ryan to describe the project in more detail.
Good evening. Ryan Chance, I'm a senior civil engineer in the Public Works Department, also the project manager for the East Bidwell Street widening and sidewalk, sidewalk project. Just going to go through the 4 different findings that we must come up with to proceed through this eminent domain process. Before I do that, I'm going to jump ahead a couple screens here and just show you the project so you guys can visualize what we're talking about as we go through this. We have 2 different parcels. This one down here is known as the Bridges parcel. We're going to widen, right now it's currently 2 lanes in front of that property. We want to widen 1 additional lane and a sidewalk connection. Currently there's no connected sidewalk in that area. Very similar situation up here at the Wilkes Bar parcel. It's, if you're familiar with it, I'm sure you've driven by, there's no sidewalk there and it's 2 lanes. It doesn't provide a continuous flow through the corridor, and we're looking to make these upgrades. So I'll jump back. So finding 1, the project is necessary. East Bidwell Street, like I said, has 3 travel lanes in each direction, everywhere except these 2 locations on either side of the property location. So that's why we feel it's necessary. Also, a sidewalk connection. As you know, there's, when it comes to pedestrians, you got Folsom Middle School up here, or down the road, but you have Folsom Lake College. You could have all sorts of folks walking through this area. We're trying to provide a safer path of travel. You have a bunch of medical businesses and the hospital over here. And currently, if people are going to traverse this area, they have to cross the street a couple times to get through here. So our goal is to provide a much safer pedestrian and vehicle path through here. The project itself is relatively small. The south side of the road is 90 feet long that we're looking to construct improvements in, and the north side is 315 feet long. So relatively small project, but very, very important. You already saw this photo here. You can see some, you can probably visualize right where this is at. So the Bridges parcel, which is on the south, the smaller of the 2, we are looking to acquire 2,935 square feet of in-fee property in addition to a construction easement. The property is currently zoned A1A, which is an agricultural reserve. And there are currently no improvements on this property. There's a shed and that's about it.
The shed's actually in the property or it's adjacent to it?
It's in the property.
Okay.
Yep. I think there's a shed and a carport.
So the shed and the carport would have to be relocated or like removed?
Those details need to get worked out, depending on what happens with the property, whether we proceed with just the portion that we need to widen the right-of-way, widen the road, rather. We've gone through a few different iterations of what would happen to those, the shed and the carport. But with what we're proposing here, we are, since it is going to be an eminent domain process, we only want to acquire the bare minimum for what we need for our widening. So as you can see here in these plat maps, you can see there's some existing right-of-way lines. We're going to be pretty much in line with those, just acquiring, like I said, what is necessary, and also getting a temporary construction easement that we need just to build, do the grading and build the fence. And the other property, the Parcel property, which is on the north side of the road, the one that's shaped like a triangle. You can see the Hvacs up there. A little bit bigger size property we want to acquire. But again, it's just the bare minimum for what we need to widen the road. So 6,480 square feet in fee. I'll scoot over here. So that's the fee portion. This is the public utility easement. As you can see, there's already an existing utility easement on either side of the property. So we're just going to continue that through, which is very important to have. And also a temporary construction easement just to build the project. Okay, so finding 2, compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. As I said, it's going to widen 3 lanes. It's important as far as we're concerned. And I said it's limited in scope. We're not trying to take the whole property. We're just trying to improve the frontage. And neither of these properties are developed at the time, or it doesn't look, based on the zoning, that either one could be developed without extensive maps and development. Okay. Finding 3. Our proposed acquisitions are necessary for the project. I feel like we're saying the same thing over and over again. We have to go through these. It's the Bridges property is located on the south side of the property. The Parcel is located on the north. These acquisitions are necessary to meet the project goals. So finding 4, it's been a process. We've as required, we've sent out resolution, or letting the folks know, the property owners, that we are going to appraise the properties. We've had the appraisals done. We've made offers based on the fair market value. Each property has its own challenges. The Bridges parcel, we haven't been able to come to an agreement on the price. The Parcel parcel is, the owners are unable to convey clear title to the city, and which is why we have to go through eminent domain. We believe the Parcels are in favor of these improvements. They're just unable to convey that title to us.
Can you take a step back?
Yes, sir.
So just so I'm APN 07200320002.
Roger, can you hit your mic, please?
The Bridges property is 0032-002?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, and then on the second, so then neither of them have decided on any kind of fair market value, they haven't accepted fair market value buyout from the city?
So we've made an offer. We got a letter back. They didn't want to accept that offer. And then our right-of-way agent that the city hired, our consultant, had some verbal conversations to increase that offer. And we were basically told that there was a certain dollar value that we didn't have authorization to go up to, that is what the minimum they were willing to accept.
Ryan, you're talking about the Bridges property right now, right?
Bridges, correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then, so for the second one with the Parcel, that one doesn't have clear title?
That one does not, correct.
So you can't even negotiate
Right.
with the family, you just,
Right. Yeah.
can you,
So as we proceed through the eminent domain process, that's what that's really for. It can clear up the title. We can we could essentially Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but we would deposit that amount into an escrow account, or Kelly, hello?
Yeah.
Trying to answer legal
I
questions.
think we need an attorney to explain how you clear the title.
Yeah, so one of
We
the
always need engineers, Ryan, but for this, we need an attorney.
So one of the benefits of eminent domain is when you don't have clear title, what we would do is we would file the action. Of course, we'd get a title report, and we'd name everybody that the title report says might have an interest in the property. And in a case like this where there's some confusion, we'd probably also name anyone who might be claiming an interest, kind of a catch-all. And then we would, you know, depending on how many people show up, you know, we would deposit the amount, the appraised amount. If there is litigation over the value of what we're taking, we would go through that. But at the end of the case, we would be ordered to pay whatever the fair market value is of what we're taking. And if there are competing claims to the money, at that point, we step out. We've got what we needed, and the property owners or the, you know, competing claimants can litigate who's entitled to the funds.
And so, I
But
guess,
that-
oh, sorry.
But that allows us to obtain completely clear title, because at the end of the action, we would get a final order of condemnation, which you record. It's essentially a deed.
And the differentiating factors between the two properties is on the, I keep pronouncing it wrong, Parcel property, they're okay with that, all those folks involved. The other one isn't accepting the fair market value buyout that has the title, correct?
A simplification, but yeah, the one parcel, we have not been able to negotiate a price because we're not, we just haven't reached an agreement on what that price should be. And one, we haven't had a lot of pushback on the price, as I understand it, but there are potentially competing claims to who owns the property.
And just for purposes of anybody who's watching this here or watching at home, on the Bridges parcel, the problem becomes the property's been appraised, there's a fair market value, and we can't really go over the fair market value because then it becomes a gift of public funds, so we're limited in what we can do.
Exactly. But the authorization of a resolution of necessity and the filing of an eminent domain action those are not things that foreclose continued negotiation with the property owners. It's just what needs to happen to take us to the next step in the process.
And it's important, I think, for people that are somewhat familiar with the whole concept of eminent domain, it is extremely rare that it has happened in the city of Folsom. In fact, I would venture to guess the last time that we did this may have been related to construction of Lake Natoma Crossing.
I think that's Folsom Lake Crossing, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, that's right. So there's a lot of people out there in the world that think that cities do this routinely, and we do not. So unfortunate that we've gotten to this point, but I don't think we have any choice.
Thank you, Kelly. Yep. You said that better than I could.
Thank you.
So that pretty much wraps up my presentation. If you guys have any other questions about the project, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any other questions?
I have a question. On that Bridges property, assuming this happens and the project is completed, how will they access that property? I mean, I know there's kind of a little dirt driveway or whatever right now.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and we've been considering that through the whole negotiation process, which is why we offered to acquire that entire parcel. So going through the eminent domain, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out, whether we're going to end up getting that entire parcel or just the piece we need. That's yet to be seen, but we definitely have taken that in consideration with trying to purchase that entire property.
Are you saying they may not be able to access it if we just take the?
I think one of the issues is whether that parcel actually currently has legal access at all.
Okay.
And so that is one of the potential issues that could be litigated.
So legal access, as in they haven't actually built the egress to the main street?
Meaning they don't have a right-of-way. As I understand it, this parcel is, I believe, something of a remnant of what was once a larger parcel. And I don't My understanding is this parcel currently doesn't have legal access. So to the extent people are accessing it from the street, it's not because they have a right to do it, it's just that they're doing it.
And this is something, Madam Mayor, if I may, members of the City Council, this is something that the city has looked into and looked at. Their specifications, their standards, streets and subdivision and development standards and so on. This is a remnant parcel that's situated in such a location that is not ideal for an additional ingress and egress. Having said that, it also depends on how the eventual developer, if there's such one, engineers an exit. So that, like Kelly said, that remains to be seen, and it's possible we will deal with that in the eminent domain action.
So I think the short answer to the question is the previous access to this particular parcel was from an adjacent parcel. And just because you're located on a street does not mean you have the right to access that street from the parcel.
Well said, Madam Mayor. At one time, the owners, the Bridges family, did own a family home adjacent to this remnant lot. This particular lot and that family home were under same common ownership, but they never merged. So when they sold their family home, they kept this remnant parcel.
Any other questions?
What did you say the zoning designation was for the Bridges parcel?
It's A1A Agricultural Reserve District.
And in a nutshell, what is an appropriate development on that particular zoning
A
designation?
cornfield?
Yeah.
A cornfield, perhaps a goat?
A single-family home is allowed on
Okay,
A1A
thank you.
parcel, depending on the size. I'm not sure this size is adequate for that.
Constrained by setbacks and
Correct.
such, yeah, I understand. Okay.
You got it, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And these, again, these are the types of issues that get litigated in an eminent domain action. Both parties would, if it gets that far, would retain experts to opine on what you can do with this property and what it's worth based on that.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for-
tonight, the resolution of necessity process really has nothing to do with the determination of compensation.
It's a starting line.
It's a starting point.
Thank you.
Okay. No more questions? Would anybody like to make a motion?
Need to take
Madam Mayor,
comment
if
from
I
the
may,
public.
this is a public hearing, and I
Oh, so we
believe,
will open the public hearing.
yes, ma'am.
And we do actually have one request to speak on this, and that is from Paul Parrazzo.
Madam Mayor, honorable members of the Folsom City Council and guests, greetings. My name is Paul Parrazzo, and I represent the Parrazzo family. Thank you for your time and your attention, allowing us to present our view of the ownership and history regarding the proposed eminent domain of the parcel on East Bidwell Street listed as 0720031 0220000, Exhibit A. Amounting to less than 1 acre, this Folsom triangle has turned into a similar amount of trouble for us. We are in agreement of the proposed improvements. They are long overdue. This is the only gap in the sidewalk of Folsom. Our apologies, as we would have sold the easement gladly and much earlier if we were the sole owners. We are not the sole owners if indeed we are the owners at all. There is a list of 5 principals and 7 charities derived from the will of the late Charles Anderson, Exhibit B. Mr. Anderson was the late husband of the late Alice Grace Wild Parrazzo Anderson, our great-great-grandmother. Exhibit C. That listed agreement with our understanding, as well as the finding of the Sacramento County's assessors and the tax collection arm of the Director of Financing in 2005, who, after researching for escape back taxes on this parcel, forwarded their finders with a bill to us by certified letter. It was somewhat of a surprise to find we still had ownership. of a piece of the vast Parrazzo land holdings from the estates of Joe and Peter Parrazzo via their descendants and assigns. Their acquired lands totaled over 2,000 acres shown on the map generated by the California State Land Surveyor J.C. Boyd in March of 1898, Exhibit D. Although this map does not show the parcel in question as proof positive that it was owned by the Parrazzo brothers, it seems doubtful that of all the land shown, the parcel in question would escape their possession soon or sometime after that date. We are certain that it is recorded elsewhere. We believe our ownership has validity. In the meantime, because of economics, we could not pursue legal actions to perfect that claim, but we were the sole respondent to the tax liability, the only one. Where were the other so-called owners? More recently, after many conversations with Interwest Consulting, which culminated in more or less a stalemate, the matter reverted back to legal for a decision. The request for more information resulted in a totally new and obscure owner from a deed inferred by the title record search of July 2017 by Fidelity National Title, finding instead for the Wilkes-Barre Dredging Company from 1917, Exhibit E. In the report, which was contracted by Interwest Consulting, the deed of record was not specified, only that it exempts that certain grant deed to J.P. Cox recorded June 12, 1917 in Book 470, page 145. Attached to the end of that particular deed is a map of the Wilkes-Barre Dredging Company holdings, Exhibit F. That map was compared to the surviving map of the Parrazzo brothers' holdings, and the retracement of the deed description seems to be curiously matched lands held by the Parrazzo brothers in 1898. In fact, it is nearly identical, Exhibit G. That coincidental agreement matches other information concerning the dredging history in the Sacramento County, particularly in the Folsom area. The original dredging company seems to be the Union, which was purchased by a Mr. Kirby for Wilkes-Barre, which in turn was bought by J.P. Cox. It is unclear how the Natomas Company was acquired, how the Natomas Company acquired any holdings from Wilkes-Barre, if any. This is attested by available deed records and several historical journals, Exhibit H. Regardless, the parcel in question is still notoriously absent from either plat or map. The old saying, "You can't sell what you don't own," does not apply to the government. Eminent domain is the tool to acquire land the government doesn't own. Clear title is necessary, but without it, eminent domain is not needed. It seems to be the case in point. If Fidelity is correct, if we don't own the parcel, or at least 11.3% more or less, then we've redeemed the delinquent tax liability in vain. However, others are guilty of this also. Mr. Anderson, in good faith, transferred his ownership to the heirs and assigns, but where did he get the idea that he owned it? His marriage to Alice gave him the right. Did Alice own it? How? From her husband, Joe Parrazzo, Mrs. McDonald on the list from Mr. Anderson, also quitclaimed in good faith to Mr. Avila when notified of the liability in 2006. Mrs. Parrazzo had several legal hopes to jump through, first establishing Mr. Parrazzo as legal heir, then to her interests, then to her heirs and assigns, her children. This chain of title is more recent. Joe died in 33, Alice in 62, Charlie in 71, LV in 87, same as Mr. Parrazzo, and Mrs. Parrazzo died in 2000. Mr. Parrazzo and Mrs. Parrazzo died in 2010. Mrs. McDonald seemed to have transferred her interest in September of 2006, soon after the delinquent tax notice. All this is in vain in the finding of Fidelity National Title is correct. There is another saying, paying taxes doesn't make you an owner. But good faith efforts like paying taxes at least makes the claim of ownership more believable. The only exception is in the claims of adverse possession. That takes 7 to 10 years. Let's see, 2006, 2016. In short, everything is needed for a favorable resolution to this problem is either buried in records, obliterated by time, and or complicated by human endeavors. I don't wish to belabor the facts presented here or cast a poor light on anyone involved that has or may disagree with our position. I only meant to present what we believe to be admittedly a relatively weak ownership claim based on money spent and efforts in good faith to ascertain the truth of the matter before you today. If you believe we have a claim of ownership, purchase the improvement easement from us, let us haggle with the other so-called owners. That's not that much more trouble. There's more that could be presented at this time. We're available afterwards for any comments or questions. Thank you again for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. That's all very, very interesting information, but there's not a damn thing we can do with it. So it's,
Okay.
I wish you and your family well in the court proceedings.
Thank you very much.
It's a good mystery to tell your grandkids. So do we have anybody else that would like to speak to this? Then I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 10244 and resolution 10245.
Do we need to do that one at a time?
Separately, please.
Separately?
Thank you.
Well, then I will move 10244 as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions
Just to
on?
be clear, that's the Bridges property, correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
Thank you.
If the clerk will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
Gaylord?
No.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
And Howell?
Yes. Do we have a resolution, a motion for resolution 10245?
I'll motion 10245.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
Gaylord?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
And Howell?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Allow me to transition to the esteemed Jim Francis.
Big time.
This moves us on to new business, which is presentation of economic overview and budget forecast for fiscal year 2019 to 2020.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Jim Francis, your Chief Financial Officer and Assistant City Manager. Tonight, we're going to start the budget process formally, although we've been working for a couple months already on it. And this is really to give some framework for the outlook for next fiscal year, both economically and in terms of some of the revenue and expenditure estimates. I want to emphasize it's not your budget being presented. You won't see a budget here per se, but it is an opportunity for us to lay out the groundwork for the budget and to get your direction and guidance as to what you'd like to see in the budget. Let me just start with a review of what we try and accomplish in putting the budget together. Our budget basics, if you will. The first is we try and build sustainability into the budget, so things that we can continue to provide and don't have to go year to year wondering whether or not we can afford to do those things. We certainly want to address deferred maintenance and capital projects, not only to preserve our assets, but to continue to improve the community with those assets. Strengthening core services is always a part of the basic budget process. So our core services, we want to preserve and improve on it when we can. We also look to the future and want to invest in the future as the city develops, both north of 50, if you will, and south of 50. We know south of 50 has some development, but north of 50 also has development and things we would like to invest in to make that a better place. And finally, the balance of services, and that's always been a trademark of the city, that we have an array of services that we provide, not just a single source of services. And that's what brings value to this community, Folsom, is that balance. So those are some of the goals that we try and address during the budget. To start off with, just to look at, well, what's the economy going to look like next fiscal year? So we're trying to bring out our crystal ball on that and make some projections, but it does impact the budget certainly in terms of what we can expect and in terms of both revenue and expenditures. And so what we do is we kind of highlight some of the national statistics, which are on the right-hand side. We look at yield curves, which are pretty flat. I can't find a chart, by the way, that's flat, so it's either up or down in this case, but some of these are pretty flat in terms of the actual experience. But the yield curve is flat, and all that means is that the longer-term bonds, 10-year treasuries, are not growing in terms of the return that they bring. And what that translates into is some uncertainty about the future. So your shorter-term rates are going up, your longer-term rates are staying the same, and you get a flat curve. And that really pretends that there's uncertainty in the market anyway as to what the future would bring. Consumer confidence certainly is on the upward slope and has been for some time. Gross domestic product is on the upswing, although it's fairly steady. And CPI, we're just a little bit above the Federal Reserve's 2% mark. California is a little higher than that. So we're in probably the 2.5% to 3% mark. And we think that those all stay pretty steady. In terms of local indexes, home prices certainly are going up, and we've seen that. But home sales are not going down, but they haven't really gone up either. So they're kind of flat. We sell home sales right around 950 to 1,000 homes a year. And we haven't seen any real change to that. Building permits have been up the last 2 years. We expect those to go down, however, in the next fiscal year, as some of the building north of 50 will not be quite as much as it has been the last 2 years, with many multifamily dwellings being built. Automobile sales are pretty flat and have been for about 3 years now. We don't expect those to go down, but we don't expect them to go up either. Unemployment's up, and employment levels are up. We're at full employment. We expect that to continue during the next year. And unemployment's down, and so we're the lowest unemployment rate in the region. We expect it to stay that way. Even though the economy has some uncertainty, we don't think next fiscal year will feel that. It will be the years beyond that there'll start to be a leveling, and we'll start to feel that in those years. We will have some impact, and I'll get to that a little later, in some of our revenues, but that's not really the overall economy. That's just the development of the city as a whole. If I look at major revenues, again, I want to point out that at least for this fiscal year, 18-19, and the next year, 19-20, those are estimates. Those aren't actual numbers yet. The numbers prior to that are what we've actually seen. But you can see in the revenue, both property tax and sales tax continue to go up, and they're pretty predictable. They're in the 5% to 6% range. Our charges for services, you had a increase in the last 2 years, and again, those are mainly development fees that have come in, and we don't expect that to be at that level next year. Licenses and permits, the same thing. We've had an upswing the last 4 years, actually, but we think especially building permits will probably decrease somewhat next year. And then transfers in, About 6.5 to 7 million is the basic. That's from other funds that come in. The rest of that is special projects. So for instance, if you add the $3 million roughly here, you've also added $3 million of costs. So those kind of offset each other. And so you'll see we're at about 90.5 million expected next year. And to get a little better idea on that, to divide that up, you'll see that our increase has been in tax-related revenue, property tax, sales tax, TOT, those kinds of things. And that's gone up considerably or routinely as we go on. Our non-tax revenue, however, has gone down the last 3 years. So we're expecting that trend to continue. You can see I separated out some of the major ones, which shows the development fees, again, going up for the last 2 years, coming back down to more normal levels. Same with building permits, coming up the last 2 years, but going down to what we would generally expect. Parks and rec fees have stayed fairly flat. They've gone up a little bit over that period of time, but they're fairly flat. And ambulance fees went up.
Jim, I don't understand how building permits is going to go down and Parks and Rec fees is going to stay the same. They're tied to one another.
Well, the building permits depends on, someone pulling a permit to either build a house, which would be the main one, but
isn't that when the Parks and Rec fees paid, or are you talking about revenue from ongoing operations?
That's an actual building permit where you're building. Those they have nothing to do. Those aren't the impact fees.
Okay.
Yeah, these have nothing to do with Parks and Rec fees. Yeah. So, and then ambulance fees, we added a third ambulance, and we saw the increase in the costs or in the revenue for those in the last 2 years. That's going to stay, we think, fairly flat. They've kind of maximized that. We will be looking, the more we get, we're getting more Medicare kinds of billings. Those will actually bring this number down if those continue to increase, because Medicare doesn't pay as much as private insurance does. So we're going to watch that one carefully, but we don't think we'll have a big impact. And then transfers in, again, depends on how many special projects you would have. The 6.9 is a pretty standard every year number. And then this just kind of visualizes revenue in a graph, and you'll see the top two are sales and property tax going up at the fairly similar slope. Charges for services coming down, and then same with transfers in. Now on the expense side, salaries certainly have gone up, but moderately over that period of time. Benefits, we've had a good few years in benefits, and especially the last 3 years of staying fairly flat. PERS contribution is certainly your highest level, and then the other three are all somewhat down in terms of expense. You'll see that we have $90,495,000, again, as a preliminary estimate for next year of expenses, and revenues at $90,593,000, which leaves our city manager with a whopping total of $97,000 of discretionary money.
Thank you for that, Jim.
Yeah. And because the 90 million, I might add, is an as-is budget. That's how we build it initially. What would it cost to provide the same level of services and the same staffing this year? What would it cost next year? And that's what that 9495 represents. Now, in terms of the drivers on the expense side.
Hey, Jim.
Sorry.
Can you back up one more?
Yeah.
I might have missed this. What was you said the debt service from?
The debt service was the City Hall complex.
Oh, okay. So it's just going
And
down.
that, we ended that debt service, and so it went from the 1,000,003 down to 900,000.
Thank you. Sorry.
That ended this year, yeah. So on the budget drivers for next year, certainly wages, but it's 3.5%, which is fairly modest for that. Retiree health is up 6.5%, but that's only it's $3.5 million expense, but so it's about 220. Your big expense obviously is PERS, which is up 17% at 2.3 million. The others are either a very small increase or a decrease. And again, the O&M decrease relates to the development process. The capital expenses, again, transfers in, so you would have a corresponding decrease in revenue there, and the debt is the debt we paid off, so that does count. So the question is, well, when does the PERS increase diminish? What are we looking at for PERS? So you can see we've had growth for the last few years, and we have $2.3 million for next year, and we expect that to continue at the 1.7, a declining rate, but still a large increase for that particular line item. And there's still a lot of uncertainties for that. It depends on what the state makes in terms of investment income. And if they don't meet their assumptions, then this number will go up. It makes a difference in terms of how many employees we have. As that number goes up, this number will go up. It makes a difference on what the PERSable salaries are. And if that number goes up, this number will go up. So we've built some of that into these projections, but we certainly don't know. We haven't built in any change due to investment returns. But you can see that's going to be an issue going forward, although we think this year is probably the peak of it in terms of the 2.3 million.
But we really don't know, because if PERS goes sideways or they take a big hit, then they're just going to pass it on to us.
They'll just pass it on, that's right. This is a question, is we have retiree health costs, as I mentioned, and they've grown through the years. Well, one thing, if I can go back, I just wanted to point out that from 16-17 to 22-23, we're going to double our PERS contribution. And that's a lot to absorb in anyone's budget over that period of time. We're not alone in that.
And I think it's important to keep in mind that that's assuming relatively little increase in the number of employees.
That's assuming none, actually.
Oh, your favorite word again, no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's assuming in terms of these projections, no increase in employees. Yeah, we didn't build that in at all. Again, retiree health costs are continuing. There's continuing growth on that. It's over 6% increase. We do have a retiree trust that's about $6 million. Will be about $6 million by July 1st. And we also have a risk reserve that's about 1.3. And so at any time you can use those funds to mitigate the increase in retiree health costs. And so that is available. I point out that that's a one-time kind of solution. That's not a sustainable solution because you'll run out of money at some point with that. But you could do that for special cases, certainly.
What's the normal use for that risk reserve?
Well, the risk management fund covers all of the employee benefits. And one part of it is retiree, but it's also active employee benefits. Mm-hmm. And what we have for that is we try and stabilize those costs so that we don't have big fluctuations. And by having that fund, we charge the departments by employee. So for instance, it's I believe it's $17,700 this year. Mm-hmm. And going into next year, we'll build that number in, taking into account, well, what's the environment look like? What do we need? In fact, we're considering lowering that number because the fund's in good shape, and we don't really need to add to the fund anymore. But it's really there so we can mitigate the swings in that in those costs.
So the trust is for expenses.
Well, the trust,
The
yeah, the
reserve
trust.
is to dampen the effect of changes.
Right,
the
although the
cost.
trust you can use in the same way.
Okay.
But the trust is designed that eventually, and by the way, you won't ever get there, but eventually the interest off the trust would pay for the cost of retiree health. That's the theory of it. Now, you're not going to build this up far enough because you'd need about $150 million to do that.
Aim high.
Yeah. But, so we have used the trust in the past.
Not with discretionary funds of $97,000. That's not happening next
Hey,
year.
we're $97,000 closer to our goal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then there's, again, the issue of capital, how we're going to finance capital projects, given the fact that impact fees north of 50 are fairly, we've used them. I mean, there isn't going to be that much development. Those impact fees aren't going to continue to come in. And impact fees have to be for new things, too. They're not for maintenance of any of our projects. So we're not going to have those as available as we have in the past. And I just listed a few major projects that do not have financing, just to show that, but there's many others. You know, these were some of the higher ones, but there's a lot of other different projects that are on the planning table, but there's no way to finance them right now. Yeah.
Parkside 51, I thought there was, and maybe I'm wrong, but in the meeting we just had, there was 3.1 allocated for that one, isn't there? Is that Benvenuto Park?
Yes. Well, I don't know. All I know is what has been requested to use for that, which is the Park Improvement Fund. There is no money for that park in there.
And that aquatic pool renovation, that's in addition to the, whatever was just done out there, or the,
Yeah, we did a $1 million renovation this year to the pool, and this is the other pool that is estimated at $1.5 million.
okay.
And then we have roofing and HVAC needs really throughout the City Hall campus.
And again, there's lots of smaller projects that I wasn't going to list them all. I didn't think you'd want to see all that. And that's not to say we won't find financing for some of these. I mean, I'm not trying to paint a real bleak picture here, but right now there just isn't any. The other is the question of, well, what's the appropriate level of our unassigned general fund balance? We expect to be at about $16.7 million at the end of this fiscal year. Your policy is a minimum of 15%. That would be about $13.5 million. 20% would be about $18 million. So you can certainly limit the amount of money that goes to fund balance at the end of the year, and the excess could be assigned to some other use. So it's just, again, another tool, another option, a policy option for the council.
Jim, could you just remind the council how much of the fund balance we spent during the last recession?
Sure. We spent, during the last recession, I'm going to try and remember these numbers, but it was about $34 million. Now, we don't expect a recession of that magnitude. That was a fairly severe and long recession. But even if you cut that down, you're going to be at around the $20 million level, or 10 million, between 10 and 20, depending on the severity of it. Again, we haven't projected that that's going to happen. That's not in our forecast. We have looked at the economy flattening and not growing as fast, but we haven't projected any kind of a recession coming on.
The important factor there being that, A, we spent down a lot of money, and thank goodness we had a significant amount of reserve going in. And that was on a smaller
Yeah, you can
overall
see right
budget
here, you
number.
went from I'm sorry. Hit the wrong button. You went from 16 million to 4 million. And it was actually higher than that if I went back a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, you know, just in that short period of time, you spent over $12 million. And it went on, I mean, the impact of
Although
it.
that number for a time was way overinflated because it included a ridiculous dollar value for some property that the city owned that was not worth that. And that money shouldn't have been being shown in that reserve, but it was.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. And the impact was over about 10 years too. It's not that you just lost the money, but in an attempt to regain where you would have been, you still had a loss in that sense. In terms of the enterprise funds, there's really, for all of them, there's really two major questions there. One is, do you want to continue the pay-as-you-go policy, which we have in place now, where we try to limit our debt, and we do have some debt in water, but we haven't done that for over 10 years. So do you want to continue that policy, and what is the appropriate level of capital investment, which is really what we're talking about with the utilities, especially water and wastewater. South of 50 is new, and that's financed. I mean, we have a mechanism for that. This is mainly for the maintenance of these systems north of 50. Now, this line shows the straight line going across is, this is in millions, by the way. So that $4 million, that's the average capital investment we've made across this period of time, average per year. The blue line is our operating surplus, which takes just the charges for services and subtracts out our operating costs. So the gap in here was filled by impact fees, you know, and other kinds of fees. So it wasn't that we didn't have enough money to do the work we needed to do. But when you sense that, you know, the impact fees are going away, we're only really talking about maintenance and so on, then that's where this line becomes important. Not to say you won't get grants or other sources, but if you take just the charges for services, this is what the Water Enterprise Fund would look like.
And if you're not spending the money on capital, you're going to end up spending the money on expensive maintenance and/or unexpected repairs.
That's correct. You will.
Which are much more expensive to pay for than planned projects.
Yep. Wastewater is a little different. Again, the straight line is the average per year of capital investment we've made across these years. And the blue line is, again, the surplus. Again, the gap was filled in by various other sources of revenue. And solid waste is a little different picture in that they've been much closer to the maintenance line, the capital investment line, but you do have the issue of recycling and the cost that's going to have, where we used to get paid to get rid of our recycling, and now we're going to have to pay for someone to take our recycling materials.
If we could get a breakdown of what that change has been, and I don't know if is that Dave from you?
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be interesting information to get out to the general public.
Yes, we'll get that.
And I know we had some information that went out to the public about those changes, but I'm not sure how effective that necessarily was in getting people to understand what they can and cannot be throwing in those recycling.
Right. So then if we kind of look at a broad range in terms of forecast and the general fund, the bottom line, solid bottom line, is a revenue growth of 4%. And that really represents if your tax revenue increases the way it has been and you don't have any increase in your non-tax revenue. You'll be along this bottom line for growth. You'll be about 4%. The solid blue line is then if you have your tax revenue grows and you have some growth in your non-tax revenue. and that would probably push your revenue up to about 5%. The dotted line in the middle is your expenses at about 5%. And that's what we think is most likely, because you have your wages and the PERS growth will equal about 4% of your total, of the total budget. And then you have another 1% that both operations and maintenance costs and that sort of thing will probably, you know, increase it. So that's what we can expect as the most likely expense growth. And then we added, well, if you have expenses more than that, you know, what's the range of that? Where do we start to see problems? And if our expenses grow up on the 7% scale, you'll see we're beyond where we would like to be. So it's a simple forecast, certainly, but to give you some parameters of what we're looking at. And then just some general issues to be considered in the budget. You know, can we sustain if the economy changes? And what do we do about that in terms of revenues and expenses? What capital investments do we need to make? How do we maintain our core services with this environment? What do we need to invest for the future, especially our pension and long-range health liabilities? What impacts does Development South 50 have on our service provision? And simply, how do we maintain the balance of services that we all like to have here? So those are just, again, back to the basics and the questions. Again, I'm not going to try and provide answers for you to all these things tonight, but things to think about. And our schedule is that the city manager's budget will be presented to you on April 23rd. So we've got about a month of crunching numbers still. And then you can see the various public hearings, and when you can adopt it, you do need to adopt by the end of June a budget. Otherwise, the city manager's budget becomes the budget. And with that, we'll open it for
And that has never
comments and
happened
guidance.
in the time I've been here.
It's never happened. We would open it for any comments and guidance you'd like to give us.
I have one question. Notwithstanding the terrible recession that happened most recently, in a more typical recession, what's the time frame under which that has a meaningful effect?
A more typical one would probably have an effect of about 5 years, goes before and after.
Rather than a decade and plus, okay.
Right.
Gotcha. And then what's the actual, if you could go back to your slide that had the forecast out to 2025, what's the dollar delta between the worst case?
Well, you'd be at, here you're at
110 and 125-ish, so
yeah,
$15
you're about
million.
120, a little less than the 125, and you'd be down here, you'd be at 110.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you're talking about $15 million.
That's basically wiping out almost the entire current reserve.
Correct, yeah. Well, that's why I asked the question. Just scale.
And that would be just for 1 year.
One hit,
because you'd
yeah.
have other years.
Yeah. Thank you.
We don't want to leave that chart up very long.
Well, not to mention the fact that by the time we got to that year, it would have been gone.
Oh, yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Do we, there was consideration of some changes to the utility rates that would affect the revenue side on those budgets. Are we anticipating that coming back to the council at some point before this budget is in place or after?
I think I see a utility director in the back.
Probably
Maybe that
during
question is through the city manager to Marcus.
Marcus, you want to come down and update on the progress of the rate study?
Good evening, Mayor Howell, members of the council, Marcus Yasutaki, Environmental Water Resources Director. Yet I do not believe this will come before the council. Well, I know it will not come before the council before this budget cycle is most likely approved, given recent history of council approving budgets. There is an item next month that we are bringing back for an amendment to the water rate study itself, the actual cost of service analysis, just because we've had a delay of at least a fiscal year in our initial data. I know Dave is also working on one with solid waste. I think we're likely to present some initial numbers to the Utility Commission, probably April or May meeting. And then from there, we'll work with the city manager to develop the public workshop that was requested from former Mayor Miklos, and then come before council at an appropriate time.
Marcus and Dave, will we be getting water, wastewater, and solid waste all at the same time?
It's intended to be a package for you, Mayor.
Okay.
And a south of 50 fee for the purchase of the 5,000 acre feet of water. So similar to the East Area surcharge, a south of 50 water surcharge at the same time. So most likely 4 items.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Jim? Okay.
I think we've been on a bubble. We had a tough time in '09, and the reserve saved us, and it saved the people in the town, which is what we had to do. It hurt our employees because we had to cut down to the bone, and we haven't really come back real big. We're back, but not in the comfort level they would like to see us. And this doesn't forecast anything. If anybody in this room thinks we're not going to hit a recession in X number of years ahead, they're in fantasy land. So we're just going to have to be very pay as we go. And before we charge our residents, we're going to have to really know how to outreach and how to justify the numbers. Okay, and it's going to have to be bare bones because we've spoiled them. That's simple, which is fine. They should be spoiled. However, reality will set in because as you realize all the taxes that increased sales tax and brought revenue were areas and cities that were falling behind in providing the services. So the residents were presented, if you don't pass this, we're going to cut. Ours failed because they didn't have that alternative. But this telling people in the town that maybe the vacation's over. Hopefully we won't let it happen. But the council way back in the early part of the year, 4, 5, 6, they saved the money, had it available. Without it, we've been dead. Okay, and so that's why we got to maintain and protect it now. Okay. But again, we have to realize some of the things that are big budget items. When you look at $1.5 million to do the other part of the pool, think of what you have to pay if you build a new pool because you didn't do the proper maintenance. So it's always a dilemma for people like us. When we approve things, can we maintain it? Well, if you build it and people like it, you better maintain it or find another source of money to rebuild it. And we don't want to rebuild, we just want to modify it, bring it up. So that's a challenge we all going to face for the next few years.
The only weird thing is you picked a kind of weird example because replastering of a pool, the worst case scenario is it gets algae and it leaks, and then you ultimately replaster it, but it doesn't, loss of plaster on the pool doesn't cause it to fail, so you don't have to rebuild it for that reason, but you'll have operational issues related to the poor condition of the plaster.
Well, I was told that if the water starts seeping into the wrong spots, you get more than algae. You get rust and you get systems break down. And once they do that, it's hard to return them. I don't know.
In principle, we certainly are trying to, protect these assets that we've spent, millions of dollars on over the years.
Short of having a plaster party, yes. Any other questions? Look forward to the presentation of the full budget. Thank you, Jim. And I know Elaine and Jim and all of the staff have been working diligently for quite some time, and on behalf of all of us, I think, thank you for all of that work.
Thank you.
And thank you to Terry Hemley and the rest of the finance staff as well.
I was thinking everybody, so. Mostly the finance department, though. Remember, I drive by the building a lot, so I know whose car is still in the parking lot after 5.
I waved to you, by the way, and you didn't wave back, so
That's a mistake.
I was watching the road, Jim. Okay. We will now move on to city manager report.
Good evening, everyone. Speaking of watching the roads, we are in the middle of some weather, expecting more heavy rain and high winds. So we ask you to use extreme caution out on our roads and try not to drive during the worst parts of the storm. We've been shooting out storm preparedness messages on our social media outlets and via Nixle, so please pay attention to those information sources. The library has started its first library card project. Staff has been visiting classrooms throughout Folsom to give all kindergarten students public library cards, and this program aims to promote literacy, foster library access, and encourage a love of reading. You can learn about the 100-year history of the Rainbow Bridge. We're celebrating the centennial of that special bridge at a special presentation at the library at 10 a.m. this Friday, so we invite you to that. The Folsom Senior Center is hosting its first Friday dance for those ages 55 plus from 2:30 to 4:30 also this Friday. The first hour is dedicated to ballroom-style dance. The second hour offers a group line dance lesson and time to practice the new steps you learn. And on Friday, March 15th, the Senior Center is hosting a St. Patrick's Day party. If you're interested in preschool for your child, preschool open houses will be held from 4 to 6 p.m. next Wednesday, March 6th at the Fun Factory Preschool at the Community Center, over at the Andy Moran Sports Complex, and at the Kindergarten Readiness Center at the Hinkle Creek Nature Center at 7000 Baldwin Dam Road. And finally, we are recruiting swim instructors for our Folsom Aquatic Center. So please take a look at our website at folsom.ca.us if you know someone who might be interested. Thank you.
Mike.
Since we met last, I got the opportunity to listen in on a meeting of the Historic Folsom Residents Association, which Ernie was also at. And it was very interesting that that group is reconstituting itself and was seeking some new membership. So there's green shoots in the historic district of some new residents down there that are excited to refocus some efforts by the residents of the historic district towards preservation and protection of that part of town. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, and I'm sure Ernie may have some comments to make about that. The other thing I did was last week attended the SACOG meeting, and we had presentations that were kind of interesting, and I just want to mention them very briefly. One was by the Bay Area Council, which is effectively a master chamber of commerce for the Bay Area. And then we also had one by Barry Broom from the Greater Economic Council of Sacramento. And SACOG, for those of you that don't know, primarily their responsibility is transportation planning. And
At the 70,000-foot level, ideally.
At the 70,000-foot level, that's absolutely right. But one of the big things that has been pushed onto the region is greenhouse gas emission reductions over a long period of time to comply with state law. And the principal way that you get there is by getting people out of cars or getting them into electric cars. And moving people towards public transportation and making their trips shorter or less frequent. And it was interesting in the context of the Bay Area Council and our local, equivalent agency, that if you boiled it all down, they saw the world in two very different ways. One was the Bay Area people really see us as the place for people to live and super commute from. Okay, and they wanted to push funding towards public transportation that can move lots of people from Sacramento to the Bay Area. And our local council wants to move the jobs from the Bay Area to where the people are. So philosophically, I fall into that second category, so for what it's worth. I thought that was interesting. One other thing, we had a brief presentation by Valley Rail, which there was in the news recently. Governor Newsom has put the brakes somewhat on the high-speed rail, but we have rail services that run through the Central Valley, and ACE is one of them, which is the Altamont Corridor Express. Both them and the San Joaquin Rail authorities are intending to not do high-speed rail, but make better rail service from Stockton and places south all the way up to Natomas through Sacramento. So that's coming if they get funding from SB1.
Wasn't there also a discussion, because I know the Capital Corridor, we had a briefing at the RT board meeting last night, that there is now talk of perhaps building another tube under the bay so that the Capital Corridor train could go directly into San Francisco instead of stopping in Emeryville as it does now.
That was discussed briefly, and it's in that context of moving people to the jobs rather than the jobs to the people. So it may well happen, but that's part of that philosophical idea of moving people into the Bay Area for work. And then the last thing that came up at SACOG was a discussion, again, as you said, at a kind of a 70,000-foot level, knowing that as you are successful in reducing automobile trips and moving people into electric vehicles, the principal way that we fund repair to roads is through the gas tax here in California. And as you do those things, you erode the amount of gas tax that's available to do those improvements. So knowing that at some point somebody's going to have to create revenue, some of the SACOG staff took a stab at looking at managed lane categories as a planning tool for our highways. And for those of you that have ever been on a tollway, that's a managed lane road where everybody pays to ride it. There are all kinds of other permutations where certain lanes you pay for and certain ones you don't pay for. So there was an interesting presentation about that, and if anybody ever has any questions, I'm happy to have a chat with you about it.
Yeah, and I've got some information on that because that same presentation was given that, actually, we were both at portions of it. Yeah. That whole concept went to the STA board and Sacramento Transportation Authority board, or portions of that board. There's a little bit of an issue with crossover between STA and SACOG.
Undoubtedly.
But that's a whole legal issue.
Yeah, so interesting things that came up at SACOG. Wanted to share them with the council.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Roger?
I will give time back and just say thank you and good night.
Ernie?
Well, I'll just piggyback on Mike's about the historic district revitalization of their association. It was a good meeting. It was about 30 people or more. Half of them were new people, which is a great thing, and they're going to get back into the being a lively organization. I think they need that. I look forward to the city manager has briefed me on some of the things that are coming up on our agendas in the future. They'll be much more exciting than some of it was tonight, although the budget and so forth was exciting.
If we don't have a budget, Ernie, we can't talk about anything else going on down there.
Where?
Anywhere.
That's what they told me in 1985 when we had no money to build parks and we built 45. So I'm not a guy that accepts that as an answer. I work around that somehow. And I believe in the people. We got a will, they'll find a way to do it. We'll work this out. And we'll work out the problems in O-Town, or historic as they prefer to call it. Some people, they don't like to call O-Town. Nothing wrong with calling O-Town O-Town. But it was a good sign of the new people being involved in what they want that place to be. And I think we're going to come to the fork in the road, this council, to decide what in the devil do we call the historic district. Now, are we going to let it disappear? And I've had meetings scheduled with different staff people on to discuss the ideas behind it. Right now, I don't think we're doing the job. And it may not be something we can help. But right now, the results don't match up to my expectations. Okay, and I'm not saying the effort isn't there. I'm just saying the output isn't there. And we need to try better. We may not make it, but we got to try. So over everything coming in the future, agenda items are gonna be, we're gonna have a lot of work to do, a lot of thought and a lot of reading. And that's good. That's what this needs to be done up in this council. So I look forward to everything with the new people that make it happen. And the mayor and I have some, believe it or not, same ideas. So that should be exciting for the next year. That's it.
Thanks, Ernie. Sarah?
Just a brief thank you to the staff for helping me continue my behind-the-scenes education. Marcus took me on a tour of everything water and wastewater related in Folsom, and thank you to Corporal Rice from Folsom PD who let me ride along for about 6 hours a couple weeks ago, and for Jenny at Dispatch who let me listen in on some 911 calls. So Jim and Pam, I'm coming for you next.
Do you call them ride-alongs in the Community Development Department?
It may come to that.
Just going back in the last week and a half or so, Sarah and I both had the pleasure of attending an event at Lakeside Church today. It's basically ethics and leadership for Folsom High juniors today. That was an all-day event. It was very, very entertaining. They were some great, great students, and thanks to all the students and the mentors that participated today. Last night was the RT board meeting where we approved the new bus routes. There's probably still going to be some tweaking. None of that tweaking has anything to do with Folsom. This is South Sacramento Land Park stuff that they're still working those issues out about service levels with the neighborhoods and the RT board. STA, we had some presentations that Mike already referred to about larger transportation-related issues, about decreases in gas tax, and how we're going to, as a region, move forward and pay for transportation infrastructure improvements. Regional SAN last week or 2 weeks ago was, I think, the morning after this last meeting. Construction is ongoing with the expansion at the plant, and all is well there. No big budget overruns. In fact, I think they're doing a pretty good job based on the numbers that I've seen lately about construction costs down there. And congratulations to Brandon Scott Schumacher, whose Eagle Scout presentation I went to on Sunday afternoon. And I've gotten a couple more emails, so there's a few more coming up. As Elaine indicated, the weather's been horrible. Please, please, please drive carefully. Remember that concept of hydroplaning. Just because the speed limit is what it is, if there's standing water in the road, it's going to create a problem. And there's been a few accidents just in the last couple of days that the wet weather may or may not have played a role in. But again, please be careful. If you're out walking around at night, please get a safety vest, put something other than black on so that you can be seen. So watch out for the weather. I would recommend staying away from the mountains this week. They're supposed to get another 7.5 feet of snow or something. So I'm not worried about drought this summer, but please be careful and be safe out there. And with that, we are adjourned at 8:13.